When an ancient tree erupts from the dirt in a single season, we call it a miracle of nature. We look at success in the same way, assuming the victory is the only part of the process that matters, and that survival is just a matter of waiting for a lucky break. Take Arav. He grew up in a small town where the expectations were modest, but his drive was loud. He didn't just want a career, he wanted to build something of scale, specifically to avoid the gravity of an ordinary, predictable life. But raw ambition is volatile. Without a structural foundation, that energy usually just creates a cycle of public, exhausting failures. Arav's first move was to chase whatever was moving fast. He cycled through e-commerce schemes and quick freelancing gigs, looking for a shortcut to the finish line. While he jumped from trend to trend, his friends were moving through the traditional milestones. They got the entry-level promotions, signed leases on better apartments, and started planning weddings, visible, socially accepted markers of progress. Arav's trajectory looked more like these spikes on a graph. He would pour everything into a new idea, see a tiny flicker of hope, and then watch it crash back to a zero baseline. As the failures piled up, the social atmosphere around him changed. The initial "good for you" from his relatives turned into silence, and eventually into subtle warnings. He became the example parents used to keep their own children on a safer path. By age 24, he was living in a tiny rented room with a broken fan and a stack of mounting bills. He had no savings left, and more importantly, no evidence that any of his work was ever going to pay off. This is the psychological vacuum of ambition. It's the question of how you keep moving when the world around you is providing absolutely no proof that you're moving in the right direction. One evening, sitting in the dark, Arav called his mother to tell her he was done. He was ready to admit that everyone else was right, and he was simply incapable of building the life he wanted. She listened, then asked him why he thought a farmer doesn't dig up a seed every morning to see if it's working. She described a rooting season. The surface looks dead, but beneath the dirt, a dense, expanding network of roots is built. Arav realized he was growing leaves without roots. He focused entirely on subterranean development, the skills and discipline no one else could see. Long-term survival in any field requires you to trade the immediate dopamine of being seen for the slow, quiet construction of a foundation that can actually support your weight. He stopped looking for the next viral trend. Instead, he became obsessed with the reps. He spent 3 years learning the technical details of his craft, waking up at 5 a.m. to work on projects that he knew might never see the light of day. This phase is lonely. He missed the parties, he missed the vacations, and he dealt with the constant nagging feeling that he was being left behind by everyone he knew. This chart shows why most people quit. For years, your effort is maxed out, but your visible output is a flat line. This stage filters out the majority of people because human beings aren't wired to work this hard for zero immediate reward. But after 3 years of invisible work, a single piece of his output finally hit the right note. It didn't just get views, it exploded. The chute finally cracked the concrete. Suddenly, the capital and the opportunities arrived all at once. And predictably, the same people who had labeled him a failure 3 years earlier began telling him how they always admired his persistence. The viral moment was the catalyst, but the 3 years of unseen work provided the substance. He was able to handle the sudden success because he had already built the deep root system required to completely sustain it. Looking back on it, Arav says that nothing actually changed overnight. The only difference was he stopped quitting on himself during the months when nothing was happening. If you feel you're falling behind right now, you have to ask yourself a hard question. Are you actually failing, or are you just in the middle of a rooting season? There are 3 signs you're in this stage: high effort with minimal reward, difficult skill acquisition, and a growing sense of isolation. If that sounds like your life, stop measuring your success by what you've achieved and start measuring it by what you've practiced. Track this with a daily checklist of inputs. Did you improve a skill? Ignore comparisons? Put in unseen reps? Focus on these. They are the only things protecting you from the psychological damage of the invisible stage. A seed looks useless until it becomes a forest. Your work is invisible today, but it is not impossible. Build the roots. Keep going.